Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:07 on O'Connor and Company. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning and happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, it does feel like a happy one. We made it through a long week, and we're that much closer to the Virginia election. Coming up at 6:35,
That's right.
Katie Monroe, founder and CEO of VetComs, is going to talk about the government shutdown and, well, how Democrats are prioritizing non-citizens over American veterans. That doesn't sound politically viable. 7:05, Katie Gorka, chair of the Republican Party in Fairfax. Have you been noticing that when you put your mail-in ballot into the envelope, there's little holes that can reveal how you voted? Should you be worried about that? We'll ask Katie. 7:35, James Carafano on Zelensky visiting Washington today. And then at 8:35, a veteran of the political journalist corps, Mark Halperin, who was all over the New York City mayoral debate last night, being a New Yorker. A former D.C. type who now lives in New York will get his impression of, well, whether the city's going to elect a communist. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor, Patrice Onwuka. And Patrice, were you watching the Attorney General debate last night?
I did. I tuned in at the right moment, Larry, when Jason Miyares was eviscerating Jay Jones over the text scandal.
I started watching it and then I couldn't. And I'm sorry. Jay Jones is the exact kind of politician that drives me insane. And it's reached the point where I just needed to calm down, or otherwise I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. So I stopped watching it live in real time. I did review some of the highlights. But Jay Jones is a career politician who has decided now that to fail upward, instead of the tedious sort of get your hands dirty business of legislating, he wants to run for statewide office. So he said, Attorney General, that sounds like a good one. He's using it as a stepping stone for furthering his political career. He has no experience in prosecuting cases. He's barely been inside of a courtroom. And his entire campaign was personified yesterday on the debate stage as basically being the next second coming of Fani Willis or Letitia James. His entire reason for running, according to last night's messaging and what he delivered to the people of Virginia, is elect me and I will prosecute Trump. It's all about resistance, and it's all about using the law to go after Donald Trump. And here's the thing. It might work. It might work. I don't know. This is a great bellwether. Everyone says, the Virginia race is a bellwether.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly is a bellwether on the lifespan that the Democrat stance of resist Trump at all costs is going to have, whether it still has legs. Because after 10 years of this, after all the prosecutions, after all the indictments, after all the mugshots, after all the impeachments, after all of it, Donald Trump still won the election.
That's right.
And Republicans control the House and the Senate. So will it work again? It might. I don't know. It might. Take a listen to Jay Jones. Last night he addressed the top issue, obviously, as to why he should be trusted with a job like Attorney General, considering what we've now learned about him with his text messages and his violent tendencies and his failure to take any accountability for it. Cut 10.
Why should voters trust your judgment moving forward?
Well, look, Brett, I want to say one thing. Jason Miyares can't prosecute a case against Donald Trump, that's for sure.
There you
go.
go.
I will also say this. I was held accountable by my party, and I deeply, deeply respect that.
Wait, pause there. Pause there.
What accountability?
What? We've been held accountable.
What accountability has he faced for that?
There has been literally no the only repercussion or accountability is that he's dropped in the polls and maybe he hasn't been able to raise as much money. That's not accountability.
It's not. These messages came up. This happened a couple of years ago, 2022, and they would not have resurfaced had he not been running right now, and someone brought them forward. So there's never been any accountability. But let's keep listening to his lies.
Right. Keep it going. But that right there's a lie. I've been held accountable by my party. He has. By the way, I do like that. I've been held accountable by my party. Well, what have you done to hold yourself accountable? What have you done personally to fit? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, except weasel around and try to just get out of this so he can ascend to more power. Go ahead.
My party, and I deeply, deeply respect that. But what about when Donald Trump used incendiary language to incite a riot to try to overturn an election here in this country? What about when Winsome Sears used violent language about people who disagree with you and her and your extreme position on abortion? What about when John Reed shared Nazi porn? You haven't said a word. I've taken accountability for my mistakes. It's time you take accountability, too.
All right. So the moderator jumps in and says, okay, the question was not about accountability. The question was not about Donald Trump or Winsome Sears or Nazi porn, whatever that is. The question was, why should voters trust your judgment? This is about you, Jay Jones. Mm-hmm. Here you go. Cut 11.
And let me ask you just one more time, Delegate Jones, just so we're clear and the voters understand, why do you think they should trust your judgment based upon these two events that we've discussed?
I've taken accountability for my mistakes, and I know that people in Virginia right now demand and deserve leaders who accept when they make mistakes and can acknowledge that and have been held accountable. This job right now demands someone who will hold Donald Trump accountable. For the last 9 months, Jason's had 50.
And he kept doing it. Close to 20 times, I think somebody was counting. He kept raising Donald Trump, Donald Trump. This is why I had to stop watching, because like I said, Patrice, that might work. That might be enough. As the worst candidate, the most unqualified candidate, and a candidate with two major scandals in the narrative in the final weeks of the campaign, and he still might win because their entire strategy is Trump, 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 Trump.
Well, you called him a Nepo baby before our last break, and you're 100% right. He is the son of two judges in Norfolk. He ran for his father served in the Virginia House of Delegates, and then he took over his father's seat and served for a few years. So he has a huge sense of entitlement that's probably just slightly smaller than his ego, and hubris, which is why he is yet to drop out. There's no accountability. He's had no accountability, saying I'm sorry to his opponent who he threatened or at least said he wished he could kill. That's not accountability. That is not actually losing something as a result is really how he should be held accountable, and that includes his seat. Now the question is, will this motivate Democrats who probably will look at him and say, I can't believe this guy has the gall to still stand in there? Will the I hate Trump more outweigh that? But I'm more interested in the independents, in Virginia independent voters who will say, you know what, do I come out, do I vote, and if I vote, what do I put there? Do I skip it over, or do I go for Miyares? Because this guy is just too unbelievable. And I would hope that last night's performance where it is going to be enough, and especially for independents who say, you know what, Donald Trump is one thing, but my local law enforcement ensuring that crime is prosecuted is actually more important to me. And this guy, I don't trust him to prosecute other people when he can't even prosecute himself for his own wrongdoing. So I hope that's what independents heard last night.
Exactly. I do want to share with you how Jason Miyares performed last night. He did very well on that topic of Jay Jones's behavior and his whether voters actually should trust him or not. But real fast, I want to give you this one because Jay Jones kept raising Trump, 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 and Miyares is in his back pocket, and he won't go after Trump. The funny thing is, at Cut 13, Jason Miyares actually had a pretty good response to that. Take a listen.
Virginians, I ask you to all go on Wavy TV 10, NBC affiliate, that did a truth tracker on Jay Jones' false ad. And his ad alleging what he's saying about myself, they rated it as false. Why? Because I call balls and strikes. The reality, I've sued both administrations, the Trump administration and the Biden administration. I have sued to protect our veterans and their GI benefits. I've always put Virginians first. But the reality is, Jay Jones is not a prosecutor. He is a politician. He wants to turn this into a political office. The largest division in the Attorney General's office is the criminal division.
Yeah, so it's like kind of a good gotcha when he actually said, funny thing, I actually have sued the Trump administration. But see, that's not what Jay Jones did. Jay Jones is running to be Letitia James of Virginia. Yeah. I don't know if he's got a porn star living in his second home
or
that he lied about. But the other part of Tish James, he's doing that strategy. Elect me and I'll go after Trump, which is exactly what Letitia James does. It's lawfare, and it doesn't work except when it does. All right, more from Jason Miyares last night because I got to cleanse myself from this weasel Jay Jones in just a moment. First, though, at 6:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
And every day, I work to make Virginians more safe, more prosperous. That's been our mission. He wants to fight the fights in Washington. My interest is fighting the fights and putting the bad guys away out of our streets. That has been our record. That was my promise to you. This office is an executive office. If Jay Jones wants to fight the fights in Washington, he should run for Congress. But he's running for the wrong office. He's asking you to hire him to be the top prosecutor. And I have to make this observation. He keeps saying that he is sorry. Jay, if you're really sorry, you wouldn't be running. If you really understood the ramifications of what you said about an innocent mom and her children, you know Todd Gilbert. You served with him. Jennifer would come to the General Assembly. She would bring her children. We would see them run in the hallways. They were 2 and 5 years old at the time. This wasn't a hypothetical. This wasn't some figure that you know from far away. You actually know Todd. This is a flesh and blood, real husband. Jennifer is a real mom. These are real kids. How in the world could you ever show compassion and comfort a grieving mother that has ever lost a child to violence? Because, Virginians, there is no cry like the cry of a mother that has lost her child.
Powerful stuff.
Powerful,
and
yes.
a good way to sort of bring it home and make it about something more than just the scandal itself. Here's a little bit more. Cut 16, please, if we could. Let's jump to that one.
Based on the incident involving Mr. Jones, how would you define the line between protected, albeit inappropriate, political speech and a communication that is legally prohibited? And you can address Mr. Jones's position as well. You have 90 seconds.
The reality is that Jay Jones was in court for going 116 miles an hour on Interstate 64. 4 people were in court that day, were going roughly the same speed. 3 of those 4 people got suspended or active jail sentence. But Jay Jones is a politician, and he asked the court not to give him any of that, to give him community service. And instead, we now know he misled the court. That community service, it wasn't done for a charity. It was done for his own political action committee that he controlled. And the reality, Jay, is that your text messages that advocated for violence against innocent children, Jay, if you were to apply to be a line prosecutor in not just my office, any attorney general office in the country, you would not pass a background check. And right now, you may say that you are sorry. But look back at what happened. You had 3 years to say you're sorry, Jay, and you didn't. 3 years to actually recognize what you did was horrific. You chose to stay silent. Carrie Cornier called you out then. You doubled down. It was after she called you out for these text messages that is when you said you advocated for violence against children. And when this became public, we now know your first statement wasn't saying I'm sorry. The words I'm sorry wasn't even in your statement. It was to say we all send text messages we regret. You attacked the president and you attacked me. It wasn't until 12 hours after you were first notified that you then decided to say, I'm sorry. Because at the end of the day, Jay, you're a politician, not a prosecutor, and you certainly can't be the top prosecutor in the state of Virginia.
Now, that was an incredibly powerful 90 seconds there by the Attorney General, making some really key points. Number one, I like that he kept repeating, you're a politician, you're not a prosecutor, and you're not looking to use this office to actually make Virginians safer. You're looking at it as a political stepping stone. 100% true. Secondly, the fact, I think it's devastating when he says that you couldn't pass a background check to work in the Attorney General's office based on your background. Killer. That's huge. But again, I want to think that it'll be enough. I don't know if it will be.
You know, it's funny because I've heard about him speeding and what happened there, but I thought it was effective to take us to that day where you saw unequal justice applied to a politician and, frankly, a nepo baby, the son of politicians. You know, wealthy, connected people get special and different treatment than everybody else who've committed the very same crime. I thought that was effective, and I hope somebody cuts an ad just demonstrating that, because that I think should make even the leftists say, well, wait a minute, that's not fair. Just because you have brown skin doesn't mean you have no entitlement. Mr. Jones has a lot of entitlement according to the victim scale.
Here's the closing statements here. Jason Miyares, cut 19.
The reality is Jay Jones is a criminal first, victim last politician. We know it from his own voting record. He thought 60 days in prison for a repeat wife beater was too harsh, and he said we had to be more thoughtful. He voted no. He thought 12 months in prison for a repeat drug dealer to go on school property and deal drugs to our children, including fentanyl, was too harsh. He voted no. He voted for the disastrous Northam Felon Early Release Program. 9,638 felons were released early. In less than 2 years, 49.8% of them have already been rearrested. 70 Virginians are dead today. Dead today because a felon that was supposed to be behind prison got out early because of Jay Jones' vote and law that he championed.
All right, and again, but we've got more from the debate as the morning goes on. A dominant story here, but I know I'm partisan. I know I'm a Republican, but the choice is so clear here, Patrice, between the professionalism and the experience. And the question is, will craven anti-Trump politics win the day in Virginia? This is just one of those races, but it's certainly a bellwether to let us know that. Thankfully, the polls right now seem to be in Jason Miyares' favor, but we won't know until the day after election. We never know. 6:23.
All right, coming up next, we've got Kate Monroe. She's the founder and CEO of VetComs. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
6:36, it's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here on this Friday, October 17th, or as Patrice Onwuka likes to call it, a
Friday.
There you go. A Friday. I'm sorry, it's not a Friday, it's a Friday. Is that what you're doing to me?
Yay!
In fact, jazz
with
hands
fingers.
as well. Oh, yes. The jazz hands. All right. Well, I'm going to let you off the hook since I've known you for 25 years.
That's right. And hey, I was in this country at the time, so yeah, you might have known me.
Coming up at 7:05, Katie Gorka, chairwoman of the Republican Party in Fairfax. 7:35, James Carafano is going to talk about Zelensky visiting Washington. And then 8:35, Mark Halperin on last night's debate in Gotham for New York City mayor. Patrice, a little bit more on last night's debate. There are a couple of more cuts here from Jay Jones and Jason Miyares we didn't get to. Again, I want to remind you that that Jason Miyares actually said, no, actually, I did sue the Trump administration. Because Jay Jones just kept saying, he won't go after Trump. I'll go after Trump. And what he means is he'll prosecute Trump, not protect the people of Virginia. So here, when Miyares said, no, actually, you're wrong. I did actually sue the Trump administration over veterans benefits or something. Here's Jay Jones' reaction. Let's cut fit. And Michael, I need you on the show, please. Michael, cut 15, please. Need you to be on the show here. Cut 15. Thank you very much, sir.
A prosecutor knows this because they stood in that courtroom. Jay Jones has never understood this because he's not a prosecutor. He's a politician trying to save his career.
Delegate Jones, along those same lines, do you believe that Attorney General Miyares has placed alignment with President Trump's national agenda over the interests of Virginia? And if you do, please be as specific as you can where you think that has occurred. You have 90 seconds.
Well, he's talking a lot about prosecuting cases, but he can't seem to prosecute a case against Donald Trump to save his life. He mentioned one, and that is respectable, but there are people in Virginia who are out of work. There are people in Virginia who are going to lose health.
Yeah, okay, enough. By the way, how biased was that question from the debater? Do you believe that Attorney General Miyares has placed his alliance with Donald Trump over the interest of the people of Virginia? That's a hell of a question. Nice layup there from the moderator. But there you go. Well, he mentioned one. I guess that's okay. But understand, he kept using the word prosecute when it comes to Donald Trump. He is running, as Letitia James, he is running to basically use lawfare. He will consume his time and his energy and his budget in the Attorney General's office to prosecute Donald Trump and not prosecute murderers, not prosecute rapists, not prosecute actual criminals who are bringing down the quality of life in Virginia.
Well, and I think Jason Miyares, we played a little bit earlier, had a great response, which is, listen, if you want to prosecute, if you want to take on President Trump, go run for Congress. But you're running for the wrong job. And I think that was a really effective line, and I hope it certainly seeds in the mind of a lot of Virginia voters. Yeah, this guy wants to go after Trump. Well, yeah, go into Congress. I mean, he's been in the Virginia legislature. Go to that job. But we need someone focused on actual crime.
Let's jump into cut 20. Miyares continues with his closing remarks here to make the final case to Virginia voters.
Are we going to pass the test of decency? This is unlike anything we've ever seen. Somebody advocating to be the top prosecutor in the state whose job is to stop violence, who's actually advocated for violence. And he may seek forgiveness now, but the reality is he's seeking a promotion. So Virginians, this is our moment. Because Virginians, we don't follow, we lead. We could set an example for the entire country that we expect a minimum of decency in our leaders. That is what's on the ballot today. And I'm asking you to join me. Because Virginians, I've been all over this state, from Bristol to the Eastern Shore. You deserve a government as good and as decent as you are. That's the idea that I've always had as a people's protector, as your Attorney General.
Yeah, and listen, I think you made a strong case. And the one thing I noticed about Jay Jones is, in his debate last night, is that one thing that was missing was actually criticizing the job that Jason Miyares has done as Attorney General, other than he hasn't prosecuted Trump, which, I guess if that's your priority, sure. But the fact of the matter is the state is in a better shape right now when it comes to safety on the streets and law and order than it was 4 years ago. The basic question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Jason Miyares passes that test, and Jay Jones has no response other than but Trump.
Well, and the fact that he couldn't do a better job either, the fact that he has zero experience actually prosecuting criminals tells you everything. But he does have courtroom experience, Larry, as Jason Miyares pointed to, when he broke the law and received that unequal treatment of being the son of well-connected, powerful Virginia lawmakers.
And a member of the House of Delegates. Yeah, in fact, there's another report, and we'll get into the details of it a little later in the show. You already know that he claimed 500 hours of community service that he was sentenced to as a slap on the wrist as community service to his own political action committee. The other 500 hours was supposedly pro bono legal work that he gave to the NAACP, but there's a report out there now that suggests that maybe that wasn't pro bono. He might have gotten paid and actually worked.
Oh, you've got to
for
be
the
NAACP,
but he claimed it was pro bono community service. We'll get into the details of that story a little later, but let me just tie this up here with the latest poll. This comes from Trafalgar. Okay. Now, people will point out that Trafalgar is a Republican-leaning polling group, which they are. They absolutely are, but people won't point out that Christopher Newport is a left-wing Democrat-leaning polling group, and they've got the race right now as a 10-point blowout for Abigail Spanberger, and everybody knows that's not going to be the case. I'll say this about Trafalgar. 4 years ago, they called the Youngkin victory over McAuliffe when none of these other polls would. Wow. In fact, when you went into Election Day, some of the polls, Washington Post, New York Times, they said it was too close to call, or they were saying that McAuliffe had like a 2-point lead going into Election Day. Trafalgar was right about 2021. In their poll that just hit yesterday in the Attorney General's race, they showed Jason Miyares now with a 5-point lead, 49.5 to 44.6 over Jay Jones.
Wow.
That's
hopeful.
Well
beyond the margin of error.
Yeah, and I wanted to throw that in there because, unlike my usual approach to politics and reporting the news, last night depressed me. It depressed me that Jay Jones' entire strategy was revealed here, and the Democrat strategy was revealed was, I'll prosecute Trump. It depressed me because I'm afraid it'll be enough. But according to this poll here, right now, Miyares has a commanding lead. Let's see what the next 2.5 weeks show. It's 6:43. It is 6:49, and listeners of this program will remember that on Wednesday we had Ian Pryor from America First Legal along with Seth Wolf. That's the dad of one of these suspended Loudoun County boys who were suspended because these boys objected to having a girl in the locker room with them. This is a girl who dresses up like a boy. And, of course, due to Loudoun County School Board's bizarre, anti-scientific, and atrocious policies, this girl is given carte blanche to go into a boys' locker room and vice versa, boys into the girls. Boys didn't like this, and they complained. The girl had a smartphone and actually illegally recorded these boys in the locker room. We're not saying anything rude or offensive, just saying, why is there a girl in here? I don't feel comfortable with the girl in here. And those boys have now been suspended. You know the story. Now, they are suing. The lawsuit was allowed to go through, but the judge said you need to post a $125,000 bond to be able to let this lawsuit go through. It's absolutely outrageous. It's horrible. It's meant to protect elected officials like the school board members and corrupt government entities from being sued by regular, everyday people who were harmed by their policies. The deadline was Wednesday. Now, one update is that deadline was pushed back to Friday to have the $125,000 bond posted. We had Ian Pryor on and Mr. Wolf on to let our listeners know that this is something that, was going to be a problem, and they needed to raise the money. They gave out the Give, Send, Go account so that people could donate so that this $125,000 bond could be posted. Patrice, as of yesterday, our listeners and the people of this community, and really since it hit the internet after that interview, virally across the nation, they were able to raise $130,000, exceeding the needed money for the bond.
That is terrific. Thank you to everybody who donated.
Absolutely incredible that the community stepped up and did this, and they're going to be able to now post that bond, and this lawsuit will go forward.
This is wonderful, and it's a reminder. It should be a very clear signal to the Loudoun County Public School board that parents care about this issue and that the school board is on the wrong side of this issue. And so, it's a reminder that Americans, they put their money where their mouth is, and they are speaking very loudly and very clearly. Good for everyone who contributed, and I really want this lawsuit to be vindication for these young boys.
Yes, I agree 100%. I just want to point out, though, as amazing as that is and how wonderful it is, and we are thrilled that this happened for this family and for these boys, there's still a long way to go. They need to make their case in court. The justice system will be lined up against them because they protect these crony politicians, even all the way down to the school board. And I also want to point out one other thing. As wonderful as that is, the other side of this issue, the people who are pushing these destructive, immoral, and unscientific policies onto our children for God knows what reason, the entities that push these agendas, they have a whole lot more money than that.
They do.
That this is a drop in the bucket to them. We're talking about Human Rights Campaign here in Washington, D.C. We're talking about very wealthy people from the entertainment industry and from big tech who write giant checks from California and from other states for issues like this, to advance these issues, for politicians like Danica Rome, the man who dresses up as a woman as a state senator who raises all of the money outside of the state. And yes, for Abigail Spanberger, who is, as far as I know, is in fact a biological woman. Not that it's for me to judge. But she has also raised all of her money for these. That's why she won't give you an answer on this issue. Because if she actually tells the truth about biology and science and about the dangers of having men and women mixing as children in these private places, the harm that a young girl can have by being exposed to a naked man against her consent, then she loses that money that she gets from out of state. That's the reality of this situation, and those are the stakes that we're up against. It's 6:53.